Welcome to Constellation HR, Performance Support Systems. Constellation HR, in partnership with Donahue & Associates, is going to discuss some of the key features to consider while completing your performance appraisals. Let's start with why you should have performance appraisals. Performance appraisals establish a tested, effective procedure to provide periodic feedback to an individual concerning his or her performance. They help develop a clear perspective of employees' view of the job, accomplishments, disappointments, problems, ideas, and suggestions. They provide an employee an accurate description of the supervisor's overall view of his or her performance. They recognize and reinforce desirable employee behaviors. They identify and plan corrective actions where change in behavior is desired or required. They establish expectation of employee success, and they establish advanced perception of a supervisor as a resource to the employee to successfully perform the job. So some performance appraisal guidelines. First, effective performance reviews are designed to improve performance, reinforce strengths, provide feedback, strengthen the supervisor's role as a manager, work towards gradual improvements in performance, communicate your views of the job being done rather than assume it's understood or ignored, identify and plan corrective actions in areas where help may be needed, and provide personal and meaningful communication directly between a manager and an employee. Performance reviews are not intended to be negative. One or two improvement areas can be dealt with as improvement areas, not failures. Anything more than that creates resentment. Besides, if most of the performance is negative over the long term, it means that the appropriate corrective action should have been taken a long time ago. Performance reviews should not be used as a disciplinary club for failure to meet specific goals or standards. Rather, they should be used to provide recognition for areas of good performance, provide recognition for areas where performance has been improving, set plans for mutually working on potential areas of improvement. This focus is on working towards positive action and improvement. The focus is not on punishment for failure to meet 100% of goals. Performance reviews should be limited to review of performance. Set aside time for this single purpose, and it should not be used for discussion of raises or discussion of career plans. Separate time should be arranged for these topics if they come up. Otherwise, the intended value of reviewing and discussing performance is lost. Besides, planning separate times for these subjects gives you time to plan and manage the new discussions. Performance reviews focus on all important dimensions of the job. These areas can include productivity, quality, work habits. All can be included as fair game during the review. Do your homework. Refer back to your written notes on your latest goal-setting discussions. Make sure your facts regarding performance since that time are accurate. Think through how you will handle the discussion and think through the situation from the viewpoint of the employee. Give the employee advance notice of the upcoming meeting so they can organize their own thoughts. Don't worry about them using the time to come up with excuses. The subject is performance, and you can't argue with facts and trends. Besides, they need time to honestly consider their own performance and to identify their own improvement areas. They may even identify legitimate obstacles on their own job which you might be able to help improve. When giving advance notice, don't make it sound mysterious or threatening. Let them know that you want a meeting to discuss how things have been going on the job since the last goal-setting discussion. Ask them to think through both the good areas of performance as well as any areas where improvement might be needed. Any employee is naturally uncomfortable with the thought of being reviewed. Make it as least threatening as possible. Don't forget to stick to your discussion points. And don't be afraid to have them with you along with your notes. You want to make sure that you get your facts correct. Next, we'll discuss the 8 steps to conducting a performance appraisal. Step 1. State the purpose of the session is to review how things are going on the job. Don't say to review your performance. Next, ask for the employee's view of how he or she has been doing. Listen openly and do not react defensively. You may have your own view on how he or she's been doing, but you'll have a chance to tell them later. For the time being, listen to what they are saying. Take notes on points you think are important. Taking notes shows them that you are listening. In summary, when asking the employee's view at things, the start of the session does 3 things. A. It treats them as an adult. B. It gives them a chance to admit improvement needs rather than being told or accused. And C. It allows them to dump any defensive arguments now, rather than holding back until you're talking. Step 3. Provide a summary statement for the evaluation of the employee's overall performance. Stay general. Specifics will come later. For example, overall, John, you've been doing very well in a lot of areas, and I'm really pleased. Provide specific recognition for desirable behaviors, specifically those improvements since the last review. Starting off with positives helps. As you know, recognition is important. Give recognition for those areas where good performance has been maintained, as well as where improvement has occurred. Outline 1 or 2 areas of performance where improvements are needed. Now, this may or may not be necessary depending on the employee. However, if it is, restrict it to only 1 or 2 areas. Anything more than that creates defensiveness and resentment. If no major areas of improvement are needed, skip this step and close the review. Minor items should be handled at a separate time. Ask for employee suggestions for solutions to problems. This treats employees as adults. It gives them the first chance to be involved in corrective actions. Their participation helps to encourage their commitment, as well as they may suggest good solutions which you have not thought of. If needed, on a blank sheet, outline corrective action plans which you and the employee develop and agree upon, and then set follow-up dates to review the status and results of these action plans. Performance is unlikely to change without an action plan. Written plans show your interest and sincerity. They also help to avoid forgetting. In all cases, make sure you follow up. And step 8. End on an encouraging note. If appropriate, express your personal satisfaction with and appreciation for the employee's performance. This helps to strengthen your relationship with the employee and end the meeting in a positive way. Now that we've covered conducting performance reviews, let's take a look at why we should have performance goals. Research on goal setting has consistently shown 2 primary things. First, in the absence of specific goals, performance tends to stay the same or become random or inconsistent and even decline. 2, proper use of goal setting can improve job performance. Where goal setting is concerned, management has the right to set reasonable performance standards provided they are legitimate and equally applied. Let's talk about what the primary purpose of goal setting is. Goal setting improves performance, reinforces strengths, provides feedback, strengthens your role as a manager, reinforces expectations for employee success, and works towards gradual improvement. Okay, now let's talk about the recommended discussion points for setting performance goals. First, review the employee's job and its importance. Even if this has to be said before, it still helps to reinforce it. It reminds the employee that you view their job performance as important. And finally, it's a positive and confidence-building lead-in to the goal-setting activity. Second, Identify and review the important dimensions on which job performance will be measured. Dimensions only at this point. Example, quality, quantity, not specific goals. This helps to reinforce any discussions you may have had earlier regarding the basic work expectations. Remember, dimensions can include quantity, efficiency, quality, work habits. It helps to gradually introduce the fact that performance will be measured. Finally, it continues to establish your role as a manager. You have the right to establish reasonable job performance measurements, provided they are legitimate and equally applied to all employees. Step 3. If appropriate, compliment on dimensions where the employee is meeting standards and encourage them to maintain. This helps to reinforce good performance, as well as keeps the meeting on a positive note. Step 4. Suggest, ask for, and come to an agreement on specific performance goals for these dimensions. This is intended to be a two-way discussion, so asking for employee suggestions and agreements helps to obtain their involvement, commitment, and support. Constellation HR requires all goals to be predefined when created in the system. This prevents open-ended goals without clear expectations. This way, both you and your employee have a clear understanding of what the results should look like. You will be required to predefine the goal in terms of meeting and exceeding expectation definitions. Meeting expectations is the minimum results you expect for the goal. Exceeding expectations would be the stretch results for the goal. With the clear, predefined results, you can easily inspect what you expect at the end of the year. For example, if you're setting a sales goal for your employee to improve sales, and the minimum needed to meet the budget is 3,000 units, but the goal is to increase sales, so you would set the meets expectation at 3,500. Now, if you would really like 4,000 units to keep up with corporate goals, set the exceeds at 4,000 as that would be the stretch goal. Suggest two kinds of goals, improvement goals and maintenance goals. Try to develop a specific measurable improvement goal for each appropriate dimension, as well as setting a maintenance goal for each appropriate dimension where performance is already good. This process helps to ensure a common perception about what is to be done and how well. Written plans establish a mutually understood basis for future performance reviews and feedback. Again, this whole process remains consistent with your responsibility and role as a manager. Express your confidence in the employee's ability to meet these goals and offer your help. In many cases, your help may be needed in order for the employee to improve. For example, additional training, reduced blockages, etc. So offering your support helps to reinforce your employee's confidence and commitment. Shared commitment helps to motivate all parties. Remember to maintain your role as a resource to the employee. Monitor and review progress on a timely basis. Feedback and reinforcements are critical if goal setting is to be effective. Give timely recognition for progress towards improvement. That's as important as the achievement itself. Also, discuss lack of progress as close as possible to the time it occurs. Within Constellation HR, employees will be able to log in and update their goal status at any time. Along with keeping a notes and journal of how the goal is coming, they'll be able to update a percentage completed based from 0 to 100. Your job as a manager is to log in and review how the progress is coming to make sure that the employee is on track. That covers the points for setting performance goals. Let's take a look at some useful performance metrics that will help when establishing the meeting and exceeding expectation definitions for your employees. When writing the exceeding and meeting expectation definitions for your goals, it's helpful to think of these 5 categories as ways to measure the results. The first one is quantity, how many, a rate or a volume; quality, how well, accurate, or complete; cost, how much, or a budget; timeliness, when, due dates, or deadlines; or description, which identifies who will judge the performance and what the factors will be evaluated. If you're using the descriptive method, you'll want to make sure and be as clear and concise as possible to avoid any confusion at the end of the year when you go to rate the goals. That concludes our training on performance appraisals and goal setting. Please reference the user guide attached to the introduction email. This will show you how to use the system and highlight all of the key features. Should you run into any technical problems or issues, please email questions, comments, or concerns to support@constellationhr.com. Constellation HR is dedicated to making the software as user-friendly as possible, so any suggestions or comments will be appreciated and taken into consideration. Thank you so much for your time.